The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions, and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. It's Monday night right here on Armed Radio. You're listening to Two Beards Talking. I'm Daniel Sanders.
And I'm DonnieJ.
And as we always do at the start of every show, we want to give a big shout out to the troops out there, men and women serving overseas and on the home front. We appreciate everything you're doing for us. Keep up the good work coming home. Come on home safe. Everybody's rooting for you. I can't word today. It's Monday. I can't word today.
You can't word today?
I can't word today.
Why?
Words, just no words. They should have sent a poet.
It'll be all right. It'll be all right. We'll get through this.
Oh, hopefully so. So, conference championship week.
Yes.
Just occurred this weekend.
Yeah, and it was kind of strange to be watching it and not wearing a Crimson Tide shirt and yelling "Roll Tide," but the Oklahoma Sooners.
Yeah.
Yes. They won their conference, Big 12, and jumped Georgia, who lost to LSU, and they're now the number 4 spot, with Clemson, Ohio State, LSU being the other 3, and Jalen Hurts and company doing a Bama boy done good.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's the Jalen Hurts Sooners. I'm not going to say it's the Oklahoma Sooners because Jalen's kind of being like Cam Newton in this respect. He's kind of carrying the team a little bit.
Yeah, he's definitely carrying the team. And, when he was at Alabama, there was so much talent there. I mean, he was a very important cog in the wheel, but he was just one of many.
Yes.
Because Alabama's a very team oriented
right.
program. Oklahoma. Yeah, it's squarely on Jalen Hurts' shoulders, and he's got some big shoulders, and he's done a remarkable job out there. And I'm hoping that we'll see great things in the college football playoffs.
Oh, absolutely.
I was pointing out earlier that this is kind of interesting from a statistical standpoint, if you will. Jalen Hurts is, as far as I know right now, I think the only starting quarterback to ever have started for and captained to a championship. 2 different programs in 2 different conferences, SEC and Big 12. Okay. Now, he's got a national championship ring with Alabama. If the powers that be, the fates, the winds blowing, the stars are in alignment, and everything works out right, and he should win a national championship with Oklahoma, he'll be the only college football quarterback to ever have both conference championships and national championships with 2 different programs in 2 different conferences.
Yeah, I just... And I wish him the best of luck. I would love to see it happen, but I don't see it happening.
Burroughs and LSU they're going to be really tough to overcome.
I think you're unless something crazy happens, I think your national championship game is going to be played between LSU and Ohio State.
I think so, and I think Ohio State's going to go home crying again.
Yes,
and it's Ohio State's got a phenomenal program. Don't get me wrong, but man, LSU's just a beast.
Yeah.
Yeah. Burroughs is a phenomenal quarterback. I mean, he's in the same mold as, say, a Tom Brady.
Yeah.
He's just you hit him and he keeps going. Or he'll hit you and if he's got the ball, he'll just run it. He just doesn't care.
Yep. And with that, a little bit of pride for me with my alumni. On top of it being. Conference championship week this past weekend was also the Alabama State High School Championship, the Super 7.
Yep.
Yes, the AHSAA Super 7. And my high school won their state 2A championship game back-to-back 2 years in a row. They are 30-0 as of right now over the last 2 years. And I believe it's also 4 of the last 6 years that my high school has won the state championship. We are on track to make it a three-peat next year.
Because you've got what, 41 of 42?
21 of 22 starters returning
like
next year.
21 of 22 starters returning.
You're trying to put Alabama's team on the field out there. Too many players on the field.
I mean, that kind of and that's the great thing about high school. Once you get something like that, and you get a bunch of great players, and you got a great program like that. I mean, barring they, mom and dad up and moves or they transfer, which is highly unlikely, you've got them for 4 years.
Yes.
Unlike college when you can do one and done.
Yeah.
And which I think I've advocated for this for a long time. There should be a rule change. There should be. I don't think. I think if you want to forego your senior year, that's fine. But I think you ought to. I think you ought to have to stick around for 3 years. I mean, you really, really should.
I agree.
From a purely selfish standpoint.
But yeah, we had. I was at the game. Here's the thing: for the people that aren't from Alabama, don't know how it works. So the state championship game used to be played at Legion Field in Birmingham every year.
Which was neutral.
Yes, it was neutral location. Now they flip-flop back and forth. So wherever they play the Iron Bowl at, they usually play the state championship game at the opposite location. So if they play at Auburn for the Iron Bowl, then they're supposed to do the Super 7 at Alabama, at Tuscaloosa, at Bryant-Denny, yes. This particular year, they played the Iron Bowl at Auburn and then also the Super 7 at Auburn because Bryant-Denny's under renovation right now. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of a toss-up for us because we would win at Auburn. Next year, we'd go to Alabama, we'd lose. Next year, we'd win at Auburn. The year after that, we didn't even make it to the state championship game. We got put out in the playoffs. Next year, we win at Auburn.
So it was kind of destiny. It was kind of a foregone conclusion you guys were going to win.
Yeah, well, I wasn't totally sure because it was either are we going to have the good luck of Jordan Hare on our side or are we going to have the curse of the odd-numbered year against us?
Well, looking at the score, I'd say there's a little bit more than luck there because the score was, 57-6?
It was 56-7.
56-7.
Yes.
Yeah, a little dyslexia there, but still. I mean, that's a basketball score. 56 points. Wow.
That is a that's a the other team didn't show up score.
Exactly. And it's strange that it's played at Auburn. That's like a Crimson Tide score. That's up in the 50s or 60s. I mean, that's just
if they're playing Appalachian State or something.
Pretty much. But I mean, that's kind of what happened. I mean, Reeltown. I remember hearing the reports. I'm not familiar with Reeltown, but I heard several people going, "Yeah, that ain't gonna happen." And I'm like, "What?" They're like, "Now, Reeltown got to they got there because of the schedule and the way things played, but they're not going to take 5." And sure enough, man, the Red Devils showed up to play, and that's what they did. And and also congratulations to the Oxford Yellow Jackets.
Yes,
and
the Piedmont Bulldogs, I believe.
Piedmont Bulldogs, yes. Class 6A and 3A, respectively. Mm-hmm. They also brought home national championships, state championships, rather. And this is important for us because
feels like a national championship.
Yeah, really. It does. For those kids, it does. That's a moment they'll live for the rest of their life. But those are primarily North Alabama schools, and they did really well. And
yes,
we're situated in North Alabama. So, congratulations to you guys.
Yeah. So, and for those of you who are wondering, 6A, 4A, 2A, all that stuff. Did I say wonding?
You said wonding. You are having difficulty with words today.
I can't word today. For those of you who are wondering,
there we go.
The way they do it here in the state of Alabama, the reason they call it the Super 7, there are 7 classes, 1A to 7A. Mm-hmm. It's based off of student body population. The smaller the population, the lower the number. So your 1As, your 2As, that's the towns that nobody's ever heard of, the one stoplight, drive through it, blink, you miss it kind of town.
Exactly, yeah.
And then you go work on your way up to 7A, and you have
that's
schools.
Your Hoover.
Yes. Your two-a-day schools.
Yeah, MTV did a show on Hoover High School, or 2-a-days. I mean, because the football down there is like football at Alabama. I mean, it's and a lot of Hoover alumni wind up at Alabama and Auburn.
And Auburn, yes. Mm-hmm. And other schools all across the country.
They got a very dominant program, and every year you see Hoover makes the playoffs, and more often than not, I think they've won a national state championship.
Actually, in the last 6 years since
right.
Fife started their
not
whole
so much.
dynasty,
right.
I don't think I've seen Hoover make it to the state championship round.
For many years they did. I mean,
yeah. But, you also got to think, too, when they first started this, the 7A class, there were only 7 schools in the state of Alabama that were 7A. Mm-hmm. You had Hoover, Thompson, I believe, was one of the original 7, which they also won state championship. They won the 7A class state championship. I don't know. I think there's like 12 7A schools now. But these schools, they don't just play other schools from Alabama like my high school does from Fife. Mm-hmm. Hoover, they will travel across the country. Mm-hmm. They will play schools from Texas, from Florida, from California, from Oklahoma. I've looked at their schedule. I've seen it.
Yep.
And it's insane to me. And I've been by Hoover High School. It looks like a college campus.
It looks exactly like a college campus. It is a sprawling, pristine, giant red brick building. I mean, it's ginormous. I mean, that's why they're that's why they do what they do. That's why they've got a storied football program. Like I said, MTV back in the early. Back in the 2000s, MTV did a show called 2 a Day there because they do 2 a Day practices, and very few high schools do that. Not a lot of them do anyway. But Hoover, they take their football very, 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 very seriously.
Yes,
and as evidenced by the fact that they travel all across the country and they play other great high school teams. I mean,
yes.
The teams that they play, they travel across the country to California, to Oklahoma, or to wherever to play them because these are like the number 1 school in the state.
Yes.
And you only get better by playing people who are as good or better than you are.
Yeah.
When you keep running up a 65-3 score, you don't get good that way.
Yeah. No, I was looking on Max Preps. I was looking at Fife's rankings, obviously, for obvious reasons. And as of right now, they just updated the rankings. Fife is currently sitting 1,014th in the nation.
Wow.
Now, just to put it in perspective for you, I tried scrolling through all the pages to get to the end of the list. It was showing like 20 results per page. I was up to number 5,000 as far as rankings go. I was up to 5,000, and the pages were still going. Wow. It didn't give me an option to jump all the way to the end.
The big 1,000's up there.
Yeah. For little 2A, podunk, no name. The biggest claim to fame, well, now the biggest claim to fame is our football dynasty, but before, the biggest claim to fame for Fife was UFO sightings.
Yes, they have UFO days. Seriously, my radio station covers them, UFO days in Fife. And
yes.
Yeah, I think most of the UFOs have been sighted after salubrious amounts of Jack Daniels and Wild Irish Rose or Boone's Farm or moonshine or whatever has been consumed. But be that as it may, they have UFO days, and yes, it's Fife. Yeah, he's real proud of his hometown.
I really am. I'm very proud of what they've done and how they've advanced without advancing.
Do what now? You lost me there. I totally got lost there.
And I know for a fact, I know what I said came out clearly. Mm-hmm. I stress that. No, what I mean is Fife has always been just the small, picturesque Mayberry type town.
Yeah, it still is.
And it still is. We've advanced.
Except for the UFO days, but...
Well, every town's got their cooter. What can I say?
Yeah, exactly. The dancing man. Anyway.
Yeah. But, we've advanced without advancing. We've stayed that small little picturesque community where everybody knows everybody and all that other stuff. But, we're very rapidly... I won't say rapidly, but, we're still somewhat keeping up with the times. We're happy with where we're at.
Well, I don't think we're going to see a Fife metropolitan, area anytime soon. But, you're proud of your little hometown, and that's sweet. How nice.
Yeah. So,
go Fife!
So, big shout out to the Fife Red Devils out there, Class 2A state champs 2 years in a row, 4 of the last 6 years. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome job, guys.
So, politics.
Yeesh, politics.
I know you're itching. I can see you over there. You're like Dave Chappelle. You got any more than politics, man?
Well, we haven't done a lot of talk about politics for the last couple of weeks, and a lot of things have happened. Excuse me. A lot of things have happened in the world of politics, and not all of them good. Some of them quite puzzling. And we'll start off the top with the impeachment inquiry and the impeachment hearings now. And it looks as though it is definitely going to move to impeach the president before the Christmas holidays. Merry Christmas, Mr. President. That said, as everyone knows, everyone should know by now, even those who aren't adept with politics, just because he's impeached doesn't mean he's removed from office.
Right.
He's got to go through a trial in the Senate, and after that trial, it will all depend, on that. It's up to the Senate, and the Senate is run by a Republican majority. So the chances of him being removed are slim and none. But the simple fact that it's gone this far to impeach him, to remove him from office, and every day, this is what's amazing to me. I almost imagine, and you got to bear with me here. People are going, "Why is he not sweating it out? What is his problem? Why is he not taking this seriously?" I almost imagine that he's got, I don't know, pictures of 535 members of the House with a small farm animal, and he's going, "Yeah, vote for impeachment, and look what I've got here." He's got something on somebody. I don't know. How can he just thumb his nose and think that he's untouchable? I mean, it's amazing. And I go here this week. Go ahead and pull it up. This week, he has made some really rather strange comments during a press conference. First of all, we start off with him getting laughed at by Prime Minister Trudeau of Canada, making fun of him, and other members of NATO were laughing at him. I mean, they were literally laughing at the president, saying that I believe he would have been here sooner, but he had to stop off and do a 40-minute press conference. I mean, they're ridiculing him left and right. When the Republicans over here, the Democrats over here, want to get him out of office and ridicule him, that's one thing. But when we've got leaders from other nations that we respect, that we're members of NATO with, that are
Canada doesn't even respect Trudeau. You can't use him.
Well, I can use him. I mean, he's a head of a foreign government. I wouldn't be the first person to use him. There we go. But here's the thing. I mean, they were all more or less, ridiculing him, and that makes the country look bad. That said, the president has been. It is actually being postulated that his faculties may be slipping. As one senior aide put it, I wanted to leave, but I stayed behind because I thought somebody should be in the room with him. When you're looking at the leader of the free world and the president of your country, and you don't want to leave him alone in the room with, sharp objects or, a box of crayons, then we've got problems. And some of the things he said this week, the toilet thing. What the holy hell is that all about? Where did that come from? What was he thinking? Why would you say that?
I've been doing. I'll be honest. I've been doing my dead level best to avoid the news, because it's the holiday season.
You can't put your head in the sand on this. You can't ignore this. This is too. You can't make this shit up. You can't make this up. You can call it fake news all you want to all day long, but some of this shit you just can't make up. When you got 8 different independent news sources reporting that the president was going on about, people having to flush 3 or 4 times?
Well, here on CNN it says, and this is the headline, Trump claims Americans have to flush the toilet 10, 15 times as opposed to once.
What the holy hell does it matter? Oh, my God.
It's wasting water.
Oh, so now he's energy conscious? Jesus.
Why can't he be energy conscious?
Well, it's awfully strange that he's worried about the flushing epidemic right now. We'll call it Flushgate. We've got Flushgate going on now, right when they're getting ready to impeach him. Can you say deflection? Does the word deflection mean anything to you? Say it with me. Deflection. I bet you
yes,
can.
Yes, it does, because I think the impeachment is a deflection from Epstein.
Nobody gives a shit about Epstein.
Everybody gives a shit about Epstein. That's why there's so many fucking memes out there
It's
about
one
he
more
didn't kill
pedophile
himself.
that's been flushed down a toilet. Who gives a shit?
Who had dirt on several high-power government individuals?
Well, that's true. You know, you should keep those files secret rather than letting people know that you got them. That's your first mistake. You know, Hoover had files on everybody. J. Edgar Hoover did.
Yes.
But he did. You know, it wasn't a widely known secret. I mean, a widely known. You know, it was pretty much a secret within the intelligence community.
Everybody knew J. Edgar Hoover had dirt on everybody. Everybody knew about his little secret microfilm collection.
And a lot of people knew that he liked to dress in drag, and he had an affair with, you know, his top lieutenant, and, you know, that went on for years and years. I mean, Hoover, here's a man that he basically, we're getting sidetracked here, but he basically kept all these files on people, not for the security of the country, but for his own security, because you want to out me? I got something on you. Mm-hmm. You know, here's a picture of you in Maryland, Mr. President. Here's a picture of, you know, whatever. And if you got dirt on somebody, you know, when I was in law school, we were taught that a lot of times when you're in court, the document that you've got that is the smoking gun, it's best that you not even show it. Just make it known or let it be thought that you might have something. Keep it in your briefcase until you absolutely have to pull it out. Epstein didn't have to pull it out. I mean, I think he saw the noose closing in, and maybe he wanted to cut a deal, and maybe but there was no way he was going to avoid prison. Just no way.
Yeah, I read a book called The 48 Laws of Power, and that's one of the 48 laws, hiding your hand.
Okay, first of all, you're a former Marine and you read a book. That in itself is nothing short of amazing, and I'm impressed. But anyway.
Be more impressed by the fact that I have read The Divine Comedy.
Dante.
Yes.
Dante, very good. I am thoroughly impressed.
Yes.
Wow. Oh, an educated Marine.
Yes.
Shocker. Just kidding.
Let's see, what is it? Inferno.
You've read two
Purgatorio.
books now that don't have pictures. That is amazing.
No, Divine Comedy has pictures.
That's right.
And they're very, very interesting artwork. But, you know, rabbit trail. Big rabbit trail off a rabbit trail.
Yep. Many rabbit trails here. Back to the politics things, though.
Yeah.
The president has made some. He also made another comment about, and I don't think this is fake news either, about the cars being a better quality because some cars are just paper mache. What is that all about? What is he talking? What has somebody checked the president when he had his physical not too long ago? Did they check his brain? Did they check his his cognitive ability, his thinking skills, his reasoning, his ration? What the hell is going on?
So I wonder, because I've not heard anything about that. I wonder if he's referencing the thing like with Ford, for example, replacing steel with aluminum to make it a lighter weight vehicle for fuel economy.
Where the hell did paper mache come in?
I think he's just referencing how weak.
I think the word he's looking for is bondo, but I mean, paper mache? What? Do we drive pinatas?
If you're using aluminum instead of steel, say like on the frame, for example, you might as well make the vehicle out of paper mache.
This is true. Rabbit trail here. My grandfather had a '68 Ford pickup, and he drove it all around everywhere. And this is several years ago before he passed away. Old beat up pickup truck. Dad never stopped for any tree that was bigger than say 3 or 4 inches in circumference. I mean, he just run over it. I remember going, Dad, there's no fence there, and his response was, there will be in just a second. And he ran right. No gate there. There will be in a second. Ran right through the fence. That said, he got hit by a Toyota one time, and 68 Ford pickup got rear-ended by a Toyota, and there was a slight dent on the bumper, and the Toyota was totaled completely. Yeah. And if he's in reference to that, that's fine, but it's the way he says these things. I mean, this is a man who either doesn't think or doesn't know how to think before he speaks. And he's just saying, people are already starting to doubt his sanity. You come up with shit like this, now you see why. Well,
I saw a meme that I think sums up, like you just said, he either doesn't know how to speak, doesn't know what to say, when to say it, all this other shit. I saw a meme that showed President Trump shaking hands with somebody on a golf course, and the caption on the photo said, "That was an impressive eagle on number 9, Mr. Trump." And then the picture beneath it was a picture of Anderson Cooper sitting at his desk, and it had the caption, "Trump shoots 9 Eagles."
Yeah, I get that. The press, the press is rather unkind to him. But then again, he's not done a whole lot to endear himself to the press. But he shouldn't have to.
No, he shouldn't.
He has no obligation to endear himself to the press. However, if you want your message to get across, if you want to communicate, i.e., the great communicator Ronald Reagan, then you got to be personable and affable. Even liberals loved Ronald Reagan to some degree. I mean, they had utmost respect, and they couldn't deny, what he got done. And he was always on point. He never veered off, went down a rabbit trail, or said crazy, stupid crap. I mean, he really didn't for the most part. I mean, there was a couple of gaffes, but I mean, there's not enough to make an entire. I forget who it was, but somebody made a Bushism calendar, one of the little tear-off calendars each day, 365 days of stupid shit that President George W. Bush said. That said, I think he was a far better president than the one we got now. But still, even he made gaffes. And he used to come up with just some off the wall crazy crap. But this president, I think, has anyone ever seen the movie The Madness of King George? It came out, I believe, in the mid to early 80s, maybe 90s. I'm not sure. It's been several years ago. But it's an exceptional movie, and it deals with the historical fact that King George, after we won the Revolutionary War, he went just a little bit mad. Whether because of losing the colonies or whatnot, he went mad, and they actually his son was going to depose him, was going to act in his stead. You couldn't kill him; that's regicide. But he was going to act as a regent and rule in for him because he was incapacitated. Well, he came back, regained his faculties, and took over his duties as king. That said, he did go temporarily insane, and I think somebody needs to check. Somebody needs to check on the president because, I mean, he'll do something great, and then he'll do 3 things that just make no sense. He'll do something, that makes sense, then he'll screw something up, and it's like every week he shoots himself in the foot. And I've said it before, I can just imagine being not a fly on the wall, but being an advisor in the room with the president. On any given moment when he goes off script, and at any given moment, you know that it's going to be epic. You know that someone's going to put their foot in their mouth. You know that it's going to be in the news cycle for the next 48 hours. And when you've got stuff like that, you can't further an agenda. You can't get anything done. When you're dealing with spin control, when you got your whole administration's in spin control, and you're dealing with bad press and terrible quotes and just stupid shit that was said, nobody takes you seriously.
Right. See, more than anything, what I would love to see, stop worrying about this fucking impeachment shit, because it's not going to happen.
No.
Okay, the impeachment will happen. He's not going to be removed from office.
No.
That's not going to happen. Stop wasting time and money on this shit. Focus on coming up with a budget so the government's still running after the first of the year.
True. Rather than having a continuing resolution, we need to have a solid budget, but that is not likely to happen. And another thing that I think the president, I'm sure he's noticed it. If it hasn't, his aides have, and if they haven't, they should be fired. Especially his campaign advisors, rather. Have you seen the trend here lately? Kentucky. A Republican Kentucky governor just lost an election and was replaced by an incumbent was replaced by a Democrat. It's happening in Senate seats and House seats. It's happened quite a bit, quite a bit more than people would think.
Well, here's what I have noticed, and I'm going to get this man's profile pulled up here real quick.
This could be bad.
This is.
I have no idea where he's going with this.
This is actually pretty disturbing. Joe Morrissey.
Yes.
Is member-elect of the Virginia Senate from the 16th District. Are you familiar with Joe Morrissey's past?
It is rather checkered.
That's putting it mildly.
I was being nice, yeah.
So he's had his law license revoked not once but twice.
Well, you can be a felon and run for the House and Senate.
You can, but
you can serve as a felon in the House and Senate.
You can, and that's neither here nor there. It's what he's a felon for. In August of 2013, Morrissey was found by police to be in his home in Henrico County with a 17-year-old girl, now his wife, who was an employee of his law office. Morrissey, the girl, and her mother denied any impropriety, but subsequently a Henrico County court convened a grand jury to investigate a possible improper sexual relationship between Morrissey and the girl. In June of 2014, Morrissey was indicted on felony charges of indecent briberies with a minor, possession and distribution of child pornography, and electric solicitation of a minor, in addition to a misdemeanor charge of contributing to the
delinquency of a minor.
Thank you. Words. For which conviction he served 3 months of a 12-month sentence. After being convicted, Morrissey resigned as a delegate at the Virginia House. That's some pretty serious shit.
And now he's back in the news because
he was just elected to the Virginia Senate.
Which tells you that the Democrats, and I guess by and large Republicans too, but maybe not so, but the Democrats are so desperate and so fed up with what's going on right now that they would put this person back in office.
Yes.
I mean, and this goes back to what I was saying. It's there's whether you like the man or not, it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on. And there's a lot of spin going on. I mean, it's all total spin. But you can take up for him all you want to, but you cannot deny that he has said and done some very unpresidential things. He has made some comments that make people scratch their heads and go, did he really just say that? And his arrogance at thinking that he can't be touched, the chances of him being removed from office are slim and none. But numerous times there's been a count done by the whip. That's what the whip does. The majority whip basically goes around and makes sure that we've got enough votes for this to pass, so we don't look stupid. What's to say that there's not 10, maybe 8 or 10 Republicans whom he's pissed off that suddenly changed their vote?
I mean,
you just don't know.
Based on everything that I've seen, there have actually been just as many Democrats that are flip-flopping on the whole issue. You got Republicans that are saying, okay, maybe we should do this, and then you got Democrats that are going, this might not be a good idea.
And what you could invariably happen, and it's happened before, is that enough on both sides change their mind that it's still even.
Yeah.
It's still deadlocked because you have the same number of people that switch sides on both sides. Nothing has changed except somebody's opinions.
Yeah, you get 7 or 8 Republicans saying, yeah, this might be a good idea. Then you get 7 or 8 Democrats.
Maybe we shouldn't do this anymore.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, this is going back to...
And in that case, I'd like to point out the winner would be President Trump.
Yes. Now, this was another thing, and I'm going to do some more research into this to find out what's going on with this. It says William Neely, and this is going back to Mr. Morrissey. William Neely, the special prosecutor appointed to investigate the Morrissey case, secured new felony indictments back in January of 2015 against Morrissey for perjury and presenting forged documents during his sentencing hearing from his initial trial with this whole thing. I'd really like to find out what's going on with that.
Well, here's another thing. I can't speak to the child pornography. Now, here's the thing. And again, I have not seen any evidence in this case, so I'm simply speculating here. And roll with me with this. The girl was 17 and worked in his office.
Yes.
All right. You and I both have seen some 17-year-olds that would knock your socks off. I've seen some 15-year-olds that could walk into any nightclub in the country. They looked every bit of 25, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I haven't seen a picture of this girl. What year was this?
This was in 2013.
In 2013, 17-year-olds looked like they were 22 and 25. So,
yes, but here's the thing about it. She worked in his office.
And he should have known or had reason to know that she was underage.
Yes.
Agreed. That said, it's a statutory infraction. Nobody's made an allegation that he actually molested her. The mother even came forward and said, hey, we don't want this. But as we're taught in law school, the only defense against statutory rape is, I didn't do it. It wasn't me. I wasn't there.
Yes.
That's the only defense, because anything other than mom said it was okay, I saw a birth certificate, I saw a driver's license, does not matter. She is, in fact, 17, and so he was guilty.
Yes.
Now, the child pornography, he could have taken a picture of her as she was naked.
Yeah.
So they're going to stick child pornography on. It's just something they want to tack on. But it makes him sound like he's a pedophile, like he's on the dark web out there, showing pictures or buying pictures of 3-year-olds or something, And I don't know the evidence in this case. That may be true. But the bigger thing here is, and this is sad, but, I'm an independent, but it is sad for the Democrats that they are so desperate, so bereft of talent on their side of the aisle that they have to reelect what is, by a technicality, a pedophile.
Yes. And, that's the – okay, so in the state of Alabama, I've done a lot of research talking with attorneys and laws and stuff like this, not for my own personal reasons, but so in the state of Alabama, age of consent is 17 years old.
Yeah, it is many states, actually. It's many southern states, yeah.
Yes. So the
Except Kentucky, I think it's 14, but I got to check on that.
Well, I think that's only if it's your cousin.
Yeah, exactly. Or stepsister. But anyway,
that
go ahead.
Too. So in the state of Alabama, age of consent is 17 years old. However, if I was in a relationship with a 17-year-old, a legit relationship between she and I, if she sent me pictures of herself, nude, even topless, by federal law, that still falls under child pornography.
Yes, it does.
Even if I'm in a relationship with this girl, I can see her naked while we're having sex.
Which is against the law.
Well,
At 17, yeah. But the pictures, having the pictures itself, yeah, that's by definition child pornography.
Yes. So...
But see, it's the difference. It's like it's all in the context, and that's what I'm trying to stress here. It's like tossing the word felon around. Okay,
yeah.
Now there's some bad felons out there. I'm talking murder, rape,
legitimate pedophilia,
multiple homicides, legitimate pedophiles. Exactly, and that's some serious bad actors. Some just people that lock them up, throw away the key. I get that, but the word felon also means any crime for which you have to serve more than 365 days. So a year and a day, 366 days. You're technically a felon. Now, writing too many bad checks can be a felon.
Yes.
Felony DUI. Mm-hmm. Which in itself is a bad thing. But there's a lot, I forget exactly how many, so many different crimes that can become a felony. And it does not necessarily mean that you are, per se, a terrible person.
Yeah.
You've made some bad life choices.
Yeah.
That said, having an affair with a 17-year-old that is 17 just doesn't cut it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be like, if it was me, it's like, hey, I'm attracted to you and I think you're hot. On your birthday next year, give me a call.
Yeah.
Let's,
and here's the really bad thing about it. This man is 62 years old.
Oh, okay. I did that. I did not know that.
So now we're talking 6 years ago, 2013, when she was 17. He was 56.
Yeah. And she was 17.
So, I don't know. That whole pedophile thing might be kind of carrying a little bit more weight.
Well, it would be no different under the law if he was 21 and she was 17.
Right.
It would be no different under the law. Maybe the sentencing might be different. It would be more. It's definitely more frowned upon because there's a double standard. If an older woman goes out with a younger guy, she's a cougar. If an older man goes out with a younger woman, he's a
cradle robber.
He's a cradle robber, dirty old man, whatever, pedophile, blah, 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 blah. So there's that double standard there. But that said, it does look a whole lot worse for him for being old enough to be her grandfather.
Yeah.
Great grandfather, man. I don't know. That's pretty much out there. But
I'm gonna look and see exactly when her date of birth is.
But here we go, rabbit trail. But the bigger picture here is that the Democrats are so desperate, and that goes to the upcoming elections. Who's going to take who is there out there that could take Trump? We talked last week briefly about Bloomberg jumping into the race, and although he has a formidable war chest and has pledged $105 million of his own money to run in this next election, I don't see him getting the Democratic nomination. I really don't. It's a bit late into the picture. Of course, Kamala Harris dropped out, and in the tweet of the week, she announced that she was dropping out of the race, and President Trump tweeted, "Bye, Kamala, we will miss you." And she said, "See you at your trial, Mr. President." No, don't worry. I'll see you at your trial, Mr. President. Shots were fired. Yeah, I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah. So she is 22 years old. He is 40 years her senior. He is technically old enough to be her grandfather.
I know. And he is now in the Virginia House.
Senate.
Virginia Senate.
Yes. Yes.
Virginia Senate.
Oh my God.
He'll be governor in a couple of years, probably. Yeah, I'm just saying, man. It's Virginia. Virginia's for lovers.
Actually, I don't know if being a felon, I don't know if he can run for governor.
I don't think. I don't know. I know you can run for the House. You can run for the Senate, U.S. Senate, and U.S. House, because there's several felons that have served and do serve.
Now, here's another thing about Joe Morrissey. This little incident is called "Gun on the Floor." It said he attracted national attention in January of 2013 when, during a debate on gun control, he pulled out an unloaded AK-47 from under his desk and flourished it on the floor of the House of Delegates after a Republican-controlled subcommittee had killed a bill of his that would have tightened gun controls in the Commonwealth on weapons such as AK-47s. He announced, quote, "A lot of people don't know that in many locations in the Commonwealth, you can take this gun, you can walk in the middle of Main Street and not be in violation of the law."
And that's a bad thing because...
I mean...
he's a little bit on the left, I think. Maybe just a little bit to the left of, I don't know, Vladimir Lenin. But anyway, he pulls some stunts like this. That's just theatrics. That's courtroom theatrics. That's house floor theatrics. So,
but I mean, it's like the politician that showed up to the news conference, and as soon as he got out in front of the cameras, he pulled out a revolver and shot himself in the head.
Well, I can think of several politicians that wouldn't offend me in the least. But that said, yeah, you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
When you pull out a AK-47, on the floor of the House, maybe your intentions are, I can't see that happening today. But I mean, maybe your intentions are not quite so benevolent.
Yeah, I realize he was trying to prove a point. But he could have gotten his point across
a little differently and in a different manner
without brandishing a damn AK-47 on the floor of the House of the Delegates.
And they put him back in office in the Senate. So anyway,
what the fuck are you doing, Virginia?
Hey, we're in Alabama. You really, those who live in glass houses should not throw stones.
No. This is the instance where Alabama has stepped out of their glass house to cast this stone. What the fuck are you doing, Virginia? I'm going to step out of my house, I'm going to throw this stone, and then I'm going to go back inside and worry about what the fuck Florida man is doing.
And speaking of Florida, some very sad news this past week. In Pensacola, Florida, a terrorist, a Saudi national, a second lieutenant that was down there studying at the at Pensacola Naval Air Station, opened fire, killing 3 U.S. Navy sailors. Ensign Joshua Caleb Watson, who was from Alabama, Airman Mohammed Sami Haitham, and Airman Apprentice Cameron Scott Walters were killed when an idiot from Saudi Arabia, I'll just go ahead and say that, decided to open fire. Shouldn't even mention his name, but his name was Mohammed. al-Sharamni, and he was a second lieutenant in the Royal Saudi Air Force. And it has been since revealed that he actually the night before had a dinner party or whatever and was watched videos of shootings. And somebody was actually one of the Saudi airmen, Saudi officers was actually recording the shooting as it happened. But for the heroic actions of Joshua Caleb Watson, Ensign Watson, with his dying breath, he gave information to the police officers, vital information that helped them locate, pinpoint, and neutralize the terrorist. And then he died of his wounds later on. And that just goes, at the beginning of every show, we always do a shout out to the troops serving abroad and over here, because just because you're here in the United States, never forget that anytime that you put on, any of these people, our sailors, airmen, soldiers, Marines, when they put on that uniform, they instantly become a target for every idiot out there that doesn't like our way of life and our liberties.
Yes.
Just because you're at NAS Pensacola, or maybe you're at Great Lakes, Illinois,
a recruiting
or
station
Palms,
in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Terrorism is everywhere. Idiots are everywhere, and the minute you put on that, and that used to kill me. People go, "Well, you served in peacetime." Yeah, I did serve in peacetime. So did the sailors on the USS Cole. So did the sailor who was drug off the plane in Libya. So were the soldiers in the Marines in Beirut. All
Yes.
these people were serving at quote-unquote peacetime. But there was nothing peaceful about what happened to them.
No.
Because they wore the uniform that symbolizes freedom around the world. And when you put that uniform on, you become a target. You're a walking target.
Yes. I was working, I was actually applying to go to work for Amazon, and the office that I had to go to was in the same shopping center in Chattanooga where the recruiting station was at,
Right.
Where the shooting took place back in, 2015, 2016, something like that. And, being a former Marine, seeing the recruiting office there, I had, an hour or two to kill before I had to go in to do my stuff for the job. I decided to go hang out with my fellow Marines. Come to find out, they let me into the office. I had to be buzzed into the office. That's how crazy this shit
used
has
to be able
gotten.
to just walk right into Marine Corps to a recruiting office. And,
yeah.
Hey, I want to sign up. Not now.
No. Now they have electronic security measures, electronic keypad, or hell, I think there's even some where they have biometrics. Fingerprints.
And bulletproof glass.
Bulletproof glass, yes. So, they buzzed me into the office, and I'm sitting there. I noticed one of the desks, there was a backpack there. I had the same unit patch from 2nd LAR. Mm-hmm. And I was asking one of the recruiters, hey, who's the one from 2nd LAR over here? He was one of the recruiters that was there when the shooting happened. This guy he got to 2nd LAR right after I left there. Mm-hmm. He was one of the recruiters that was there when the shooting happened, took a bullet in his leg, I think it was, while he was trying to get people out of the line of fire and everything, was still active working at the same recruiting office. Mm-hmm. He came walking into the office a little while later, and I talked to him and everything. And, for the life of me, I've been to Iraq twice. We kind of expected getting shot at over there.
That's what I was about to say. When you're in combat, yeah, that's expected. I'm going to get shot at, but you get a job as what they used to call a cushy job as a recruiter. You got quotas to meet and everything, which is why recruiters lie to you. But anyway, you've got these quotas to meet, but it's pretty much a cushy it used to be. Now you get shot at.
Yeah.
You should get combat pay.
Yeah, I actually went home on recruiter's assistance one time. And I had a little 380 auto that I carried around for protection. Did not know, and this was back in like 2008, 2009 time frame. Mm-hmm. Did not know you could not carry a firearm into a recruiting office. It was considered the same as carrying a firearm on base. Only MPs could do it.
Right.
So I'm in the recruiting office. We're getting ready to head out. I'm getting ready to change into my uniform. And I take this thing out of the holster and I ask them, do we have like a locking filing cabinet or a safe or something that I can put this in? No, you need to get that out of the office right now. You can't have that in here.
Yeah. Well, that underscores something I wanted to bring up. 2 points about this shooting is that, okay, first things first, I think that we need to evaluate, and as they are doing, having foreign nationals come over here for training. And I know Saudi Arabia is one of the few friendly powers that we have in the Middle East that's friendly to us, and we have a great relationship with Saudi Arabia. That said, it was a damn Saudi Arabian national that did this. So maybe we need to reevaluate these training programs and who we let in. That said, maybe we should reevaluate, as you just pointed out, that you can't carry a gun on base. If everybody in that room had been armed, that shooting would have never occurred.
Yeah.
Or unless he was a suicide jockey, which he turned out he was anyway. But he went in there knowing that nobody had a weapon.
Yeah.
And if he went in there knowing that everybody was packing, and everybody would be, I'm pretty sure that the outcome would have been different. Maybe only one person would have been killed as opposed to 3. Maybe no one would have been killed. Maybe the minute that he pulled his gun out, 5 people would have shot him. We will never know because military personnel, now get this, military personnel are not allowed to carry a weapon onto a base. Am I missing something here? Civilians can carry weapons in the civilian world, but military can't carry a weapon on a base. It's the military. We're all about weapons. Why not allow open carry on base? It makes no sense to me.
You're absolutely right. I can't fathom.
The people that we should allow to carry weapons are the people who do the fighting for us.
Yeah.
And if you're on active duty, if you're in uniform, why not be armed?
Yeah. And
they call it the armed services for a reason.
I was stationed at Paris Island. We were running an active shooter drill. I was one of the role players for the active shooter drill. I was one of the injured individuals. And, the MPs were responding to the active shooter drill. Now, I'm at Paris Island. I'm an infantry marine. I'm being a little bit belligerent in my role.
I can't imagine that.
As I'm helping wounded into the all-weather training facility, the scenario was V-bid attack at the parade deck and then active shooters on base. Mm-hmm. So I'm helping more wounded individuals into the all-weather training facility, and the whole time I'm helping people. EMS is doing their job, firefighters are doing their job, all the civilians and everything. I'm sitting there going, gee, if we had guns that we were allowed to carry, this wouldn't have fucking happened.
There's no denying the logic there. I can understand having gun laws and maybe some restrictions. I don't agree with them, but I can understand people wanting there to be some restrictions for civilians.
Yes.
Because there's some civilians that do not need to carry a firearm. They don't deserve to carry. But the military, there was a time when if you wore the uniform of a sailor or Marine or a soldier, you automatically were armed. And it's only been since the turn of the century that went out of fashion, and it's ridiculous because these are the people that should be armed. We call them up. We expect them to do our bidding, to do violence on our behalf, but we're not going to arm them.
We expect them to defend us when they can't even defend themselves.
Exactly. It's the biggest miscarriage and the biggest. I'm just going to call it what it is. It's bullshit.
It is.
If that classroom, which that's what it was a training classroom, if everybody in that classroom had a sidearm, that wouldn't happen.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. Simply, the de-escalation factor would have automatically been there. I mean, I'm not walking into. It's like it would be like you see in some of these movies, or some. I've seen in several movie clips where some idiot walks into a diner and pulls out a gun and says, "All right, give me all your money," and 17 different cops unload their and pointed at the guy. I mean, you picked the wrong damn restaurant. It would have been something similar to that.
Yeah, that was a Glock advertisement.
Gunny and Glock.
Yep, Gunny and Glock.
You picked the wrong restaurant. Yep. You know, and it would have been something similar to that. I mean, the guy would have. I don't think it would have ever happened because even though suicidal he may have been, you're only going to get off one shot before you've got about 80 in you.
I don't even think you get off the one shot. And the reason why I say that is when I was at SOI, we were doing a live fire range. Mm-hmm. And, I'm in this platoon waiting to go through the range. There's another platoon who's next in line to go through the range. Mm-hmm. They were ahead of us. We heard all of this commotion going on in the tree line. What the fuck is going on, man? Turned out one of the guys in the platoon racked the bolt back on his saw and was getting ready to bring the hate, pointed it at one of the guys in the platoon and said, "Are you ready to die?"
Oh,
well, you've got 29 other Marines standing there with saws and M16s. They freaking shot condition one. Mm-hmm. And now he's got 20 some odd freaking rifle barrels in his face.
Well, I'm sure that situation de-escalated rather quickly.
Yeah.
Hey. And that would have been like, again, I repeat, that would have been the case. And it's really sad because like this was a young ensign from the state of Alabama. He was from Coffee, Alabama. Mm-hmm. And he graduated of the United States Naval Academy, and the world was at his feet.
Yeah.
I mean, he's down there in flight school, and this is a man who literally he had the world waiting for him. And with his dying breath, he gave vital information to the MPs on how to take out the shooter. And that kind of heroism, that kind of, I'm sure there's a Navy Cross or Silver Star at least, or something on the way for this young lad, posthumously awarded, and for the other two as well. I mean, this young ensign, it's prayers and thoughts and prayers, of course, go out to the family. But I want to reiterate that this didn't have to happen, and it shouldn't be happening. If you're on American soil and you're in an American military base, personnel should be allowed to open carry. They should have to go through the same checks, but the checks are much simpler. It's a DOD background check, which is more thorough than a civilian background check. They'll do a DOD background check on this guy. You're clear. Hey, go buy your weapon.
Yeah.
And carry it openly, be responsible. Same rules can apply. But, I mean, as a blanket rule that you're not allowed to carry on base is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. So... like you said, very sad incident, didn't have to happen, and definitely things need to change for sure. So we're running out of time. We're going to have to leave it at that. Don't forget to go on Facebook, follow us, Two Beards Talking.
Like us, don't like us, tell us we're full of shit, whatever.
Yeah. Share your opinions with us. We want to hear what everybody thinks out there. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow night for my show, 2AT, Second Amendment Talk with Rod Burks. We got a lot of stuff to talk about there, like the shooting. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you will deal with that. Yep.
Yeah, the Pensacola shooting as well as another shooting that occurred in Florida. Definitely got a lot to talk about with that.
Always a Florida guy. What's up with that Florida man?
That one was really messed up. So, again, big shout out to the troops out there, men and women serving overseas and on the home front. We appreciate everything that you're doing for us. Keep up the good work. Come home safe. We're all rooting for you here back home. Donnie, you got anything else?
That's about it for me.
Excellent. All right. Well, it's been a great show.
Yes. One last thing. Epstein didn't hang himself. Had to go there.
Yep. So, we appreciate all the listeners out there tuning in. This has been Two Beards Talking right here on Armed Radio. I'm Daniel Sanders.
I'm DonnieJ.
Thanks for listening, everybody.